We have a lot to cover today. Yesterday was a huge day. Lots of information came out. We got to talk about GDP. We have to talk about money market funds, the CME Watch Tool, the market overall, as well as the miners. And I'd like to also cover a couple of our plays outside of the miners here at the end of the video. So stick around for that. So there's some gems in there at the very end for you. First of all, though, we would need to talk about GDP. GDP yesterday came in at 1.6%. The expected number was 2.2%. That's 0.6 below the expected amount. That's way lower. This actually plays heavily into potential rate cuts. Now, this number right here, GDP coming in significantly lower than expected, gives the Fed breathing room in relation to their ability to cut rates. The Fed cuts rates really mostly for one reason, at least in the majority of the times it has done it, and that has been because they broke the economy. Something that they're scared about here is that inflation is still high and GDP is slowing. That equals stagflation. That is one of the things that the Fed is absolutely terrified of. So I'm starting to sniff a cut coming. There might still be some cuts on the table this year with this GDP print. If we see another weaker GDP print in July for Q2, I think we start seeing cuts in July if that happens. So keep your eyes on that for when it comes in. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention was that money market funds haven't really dropped at all. In fact, it rose a little bit from the week before. We're at $5.9 trillion in money market funds. We're down about 100 billion from the beginning of the month, around April 10th. So this is still holding up quite high, meaning there's a lot of money parked on the sidelines waiting for the right time to enter the market. So there's a lot of money sitting there on the market, waiting to enter the market. The other thing that I'd like to talk about here is the Fed Watch Tool. We've got, so May hasn't changed. They're saying that 97% chance that it stays exactly the same, but June has now gotten 10% chance of a cut, and July we're looking at a 33% chance of a cut. This is getting closer and closer to a coin flip, and I think as some more data comes in, as long as it is looking like maybe the jobs market is cooling off a little bit, if we can start seeing that, or inflation cooling off, this will get much bigger. I mean, same thing. Even if I think inflation goes higher, but GDP stays flat, this also goes higher. That GDP number was big, and I'll show you how big. So yesterday, we opened up real low. Let me go to a 1 hour chart. Yesterday on the market, we opened up down here. Okay, let's see, what was that? How far down was that from the beginning of from the day yesterday? We opened up down 1.1% on that bad GDP print. Now, I think somewhere around mid-morning, everyone realized, but if GDP is coming in bad and inflation is coming in high, well, then the Fed will have no choice but to cut. And I think that's why we saw a run-up of over 2% from that 1.1% low. Google yesterday, all right. Google yesterday was crazy after hours. Look at this thing. We opened up plus 10% today. This was like that Tesla move, except they actually had the numbers to back it up at Google. They beat EPS by 25%, revenue by 2.29%. They also announced a dividend, and they're going to do buybacks. So Google is absolutely popping off right now because of that. Let's take the Microsoft. Microsoft also. That's MSFT. Microsoft also opening up 2% up today. In fact, it was higher than that at open. It's been falling. Let's see. It was open this morning plus 3.6%, which for a $2 or $3 trillion company, that's huge. And their earnings, of course, they beat by 4% on earnings per share and 1.6% on revenue, and they were rewarded for that. What about Meta? Something happened with Meta as well yesterday. Meta, we're down 0.5% in the after hours. If we go to it, let's go to like a 1 hour chart. We look at the Meta announced. Okay, so they had good earnings, right? Meta had good earnings. They beat better. Honestly, their beat was better than Microsoft. But Zuckerberg announced that he was going to be spending money, and everybody remembers the last time he spent money. He was spending money on the metaverse. This time he's spending it on AI, which I think will probably pan out for them. But the knee-jerk reaction of the market is Zuckerberg spending money. Let's drop the stock by 20%. Now it has recovered significantly from that, but it initially dropped 20% off of good earnings, but an announcement that they would be spending money on AI, which is, you think that would have been a good thing, but everyone has it's a bit of a trauma for investors in Meta hearing Zuckerberg say he's going to spend money. So that's it for the broader market. I think things are looking up. We got that bad GDP print, but the market is rallying, and I think it's rallying because they're looking for a Fed rate cut coming soon. And this weekend, I'd like to do a video talking about what exactly Bitcoin, the Russell 2000, and bonds do the days leading into and immediately after a rate cut. Let's have a look at that over the weekend. So, stay tuned for that one this weekend. So let's get into the miners. So yesterday we were talking about the miners falling, which they were initially. They opened up. I mean, CleanSpark opened up at $18 from 20 basically. That was a pretty big drop, and it charged up the whole way, meaning that the buyers are here at $18. I think $18 is the new $15 level on CleanSpark. I think that's where you'll be picking up your bottom from now on, right now, going forward for at least the foreseeable future at this time. Now, we could flash down to potentially like 17.23 on a bad day, but I think 18 largely will hold the line right now, especially given that display yesterday, how we opened up all the way down to 18 and it just pushed up the whole day, meaning there are buyers at 18. People want it at 18. Today we're actually up, or no, we're down 0.61% today. I am expecting a bit of a cool off here. I would like to see the RSI on the daily come back down and kind of touch the 50 or get close to it, maybe 55, 56, and start turning around there. We did charge up on lower volume yesterday, so that was a big kind of a little bit of not such a great outlook on this current move up. So I am expecting this to continue down a little bit more, maybe come back, touch 18 once, maybe twice more. Maybe we'll do something like we did back here in February on CleanSpark before we start charging up and trying to retake this high at 21.45. If you notice, yeah, it really was just same high as back here in March 24th, pretty much the exact same high, which was followed by a drop and then another big run. So let's look for that kind of a run up here after we cool off. We get that RSI. Let's have a look. See, yeah, the RSI came up on that time on March 24th. It went up to 65, came back around the 46, 47 range, hung out there for a few days, and then popped off again. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for this RSI to cool off, maybe come down into the low 50s, maybe the high 40s for a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days, and then from there just rocket up and make this $24, $25 high look like a thing of the past. I want to see it come up to about that $30 level, maybe a little higher on here once we get that July rally. I'm still looking at that July rally for this thing. It could come out, vacillate down here a little bit, maybe come back down to $15. It's possible. It could do that in a slump during May and June. That's totally possible. But I am looking for that July rally to get us up into the high 20s, maybe even the low 30s on CleanSpark. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm looking for. And during that time, of course, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. I am looking for areas to buy around 18 or a little bit lower on CleanSpark as we go forward now on this stock. Let's take a look at Mara. How is Mara doing? I could type, that would probably help a little bit better. Mara is actually up 3% today. That's actually really good. We're coming right back to this most traded zone here at 1980 or 1980. We need to get above this line if we're going to get any higher, which would take us out of this descending channel now. And I think it's probably time for Mara to start doing that. Now we are in an ascending channel, which often do break to the downside. I wouldn't expect it to come much lower than about 17.21 on Mara before charging up and going above this line again. Once we get out of this descending channel and then we test it, we back test it, like let me drag this a little further. Once we get out of this thing above it, probably up to about $22, $23, and then come back down to back test it at 1980, 1950. And then from there, that becomes a level of support. When we see that, then we know at that point, we know that we're ready to go back up and test the highs up in the high 20s and mid 30s on Mara. So right now, I do expect this to potentially break to the downside for May and June. I expect it to potentially come as low as $16 again. That would be the low I'd be looking for. I could see $17.45 to $17 be a place where it could settle, but we could come as low as about 16, maybe even come back and test this 14 again. That is possible. It could happen one more time. I do think that we are building somewhat of a inverse head and shoulders here. We got a shoulder here, back here on March. We're building the head right now. And if we came back down here, we would form another shoulder around that $16 mark on Mara. And if that happened, this this line here of the descending channel, the top line of the descending channel, that becomes the neckline in that scenario. And once we cross it, we come back and back test it once. That's where we get our launch. Okay, that's what we're looking for on MARA. RIOT has been pretty good lately. RIOT is actually up 0.5% again today, right now, after this epic run from the bottom here. Since April 18th, it's not even been 10 days since then, and we are up about currently 56% from there. That's pretty amazing. If you caught this bottom, congratulations, you're doing excellently on RIOT. RIOT has its earnings coming up on May 1st, so that's going to be next Wednesday. Oh yeah, I mentioned about earnings. Yesterday, TradingView and a few other websites said that Digital would be reporting earnings yesterday. They did not. I found some other websites that were saying they're not reporting until May or even June, so I have no idea when they're reporting. So I will be using their main website from now on as the only place where I find out whether or not they are going to be doing their earnings report and when that's going to happen. So false alarm yesterday on that. RIOT right now is at resistance. It needs to get above this 1242 range to have a chance at 1323. At 1323, that's the next level of resistance that it needs to get above before we can see it move up to around that $15 range on RIOT. That's what we're looking at right now. Support, though, is not far down below. Support is down at about 1134. So if we come down, we'll come down, test this ascending orange dotted line here, and that is where we will find support, and hopefully that's where we would see ourselves bounce on RIOT and on our way up. Let's take a look at Bit Digital real quick. What is Bit Digital doing right now? Bit Digital is up 3.59%. It is holding strong in this area. See how it came up slightly above the channel, came back tested the top of the channel right here. You can see when we bounced right off of it, and we are launching a little bit here. Now that wicked all the way down to the megaphone, but like you can see where the candle, the bottom of the candle body is right on that line, and we held it, and now we're above it, and we're staying above it. That's actually pretty bullish. This is looking a bit like a bull flag right here, and if we can get up and above $2.29 and hold it, we could easily move ourselves back up to around that $3 range on Bit Digital quite quickly. And of course, this green descending line here, that is the support level. This is the level support. So is 197. That's also a level of support here on Bit Digital. So that's what we're looking at right there. Bitfarms is down 7.75%. It came down into this channel. This, I think, is going to act as a bit of a leg down here because we are moving up more aggressively. Now, if you notice here on the way down when it was very aggressive, we had one or two green days before moving back down again. I think we'll see that on the way up. Now we're going up aggressively, down 1 or 2 days, and then we'll start moving up aggressively again. Let's have a look-see if we're going to get that kind of price action out of Bitfarms or not. Hopefully that's the case. I'd like to see it get back up into this ascending channel and just continue on aggressively up on Bitfarms. I think that'll really start charging up once they get their new CEOs. That's what we're looking for. Let's look at the warrants real quick. I've been watching these a lot lately. So yesterday it came down. That was that blow off top. It came down big time all the way down to 116. Today we're back up to 132. Let's see if that holds or not. I do expect sometime in, again, May or June to see this come down and like test just under $1 for a day or maybe even half a day or something, and then start coming back up from there. I do have my buy order just sitting down here on Cipher warrants waiting for that. That is the miners right now. They're kind of hanging out. They're going up a little bit. They're going up, down, all around. It's a little bit crazy. Honestly, by the time the day is over, everything I've said is doing like huge moves in both directions by the end of the day. Every day right now, things are very volatile. Remember that the Bitcoin ETF for Hong Kong starts on Monday for time in the US. That would be Tuesday, the 30th, right? The 30th? Is that Tuesday? Yes. Tuesday, the 30th in Hong Kong is when that takes effect, but in the US, that will be Monday. Look for over the weekend, look for these ETFs to be seeding their ETF with Bitcoin. Look for some positive price action on it, potentially a sell the news event when it actually comes out, just like in the United States. That's what I'll be looking for to see if that happens. And I potentially could take that as a buying opportunity. Of course, not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy or sell any asset whatsoever. All right, now let's take a look at some other plays. Let's take a look at Tesla. I actually did this play on Tesla yesterday. I saw this cup and handle. Let's draw it right here. This is a 30-minute chart, by the way. I saw a cup and handle off that big news from the earnings. We have the cup. There's the cup. Then we built the handle right here. And then this is the 30-minute chart. Now, once I got that handle, it broke above it, right? It broke above the handle. I got in on it basically right here on this candle right here at 10:30. Now, if we go drill down, into the 5-minute, you can see where that exactly would have taken place. About 10:30-ish, it's about right here, right around here, right in these candles, right when this bull flag, which was also a pennant, right when that broke, I got in on that. And I rode it up to around 168, which I had 2 contracts on that. That represented about $150 of movement. And then it continued on up to my red line here where it stopped. I should have held it all the way up to that, but I got out early. I don't want to lose money. That actually would have been closer to a $400 or $500 move. But like this was really nice. That cup handle, it broke. As soon as it broke, I started to see a bull flag start forming. As soon as that bull flag broke, I entered and just rode it up for a while. Like those are the types of plays that you should be looking for when you're looking at these charts. I love cup and handle. Cup and handle is so good. I let it pull back. I let it start forming. I saw the formation, decided to enter, and it was just up from there. That was very nice little cup and handle on Tesla yesterday. Train your eyes to see these things, to see those types of formations, head and shoulders, cup and handles, double tops, double bottoms. Look for breaks of these ascending and descending channels like that. Will like just start training your eyes to see those things, and you'll start making moves like that intraday. And that was pretty great for Tesla. Well, let's see what's going on today with Tesla right now. Tesla's actually down 1.2%. It didn't get back to down to that 150 level I was looking for. It's actually at 171 right now. As long as Tesla holds over 160 this week with all the things that are happening in the market right now, I expect it to go bullish. I expect it to get out and above next week, 175, and from there, I'm looking around 200, maybe even 215 or 210 on this thing in the next couple of weeks, given how the sentiment is right now and given how it looks like the economy, the GDP is falling a little bit, which will push the Fed into a corner where they'll need to cut, which will be beneficial towards companies that sell things like, I don't know, cars. So that'll be really good for Tesla. Let's take a look at SOFI. SOFI is moving up into earnings, which is next Monday. So that's on Monday in the morning, pre-market. It's fading up today. I'm actually up on my little gamble play. This line here represents where I entered. Around here, I got in like on this red one or something a couple of days ago. It's actually up about 20-25% right now, which is really nice. Very happy about that. I'm looking for this to move up to at least $8.15. If the earnings go well, I'd be looking for it to touch around 8.50 cents, which would be about 100% return on some options contracts. Now, it is a gamble. It is a small position. Took a very small position. That would be a gamble. And I'm just looking to make a couple $100 and then sell it from there. That's all. But it's a small position. Going off of this inverse head and shoulders that I'm looking at right now, with this green line being the neckline, I'm looking for it to come to the top of this ascending channel, which would represent about 807. And if earnings are really good, I look for it to maybe wick up to around 850 or so before starting to cool off again. And that's this area around like 820, 830, I'd be taking profit on SOFI. Let's take a look at Block. Block is actually up 2.87% today. It's been on a nice little move up since Bitcoin halving, and they have a nice big Bitcoin treasury. They're also now making CPUs for Bitcoin miners. So they're really getting entrenched in that Bitcoin narrative. We are about to break this descending line here. Once we break that descending line, now remember, it came all the way down to 69. I was saying it was going to come down to around this box area, and it did. And now I'm saying that when it breaks this descending line, that's when I'm looking for it to start to break out and get back up towards this line up here around 81, maybe even up as high as, 87 to 90, maybe even pushes up into 100 once Bitcoin really starts kicking off on this stock, particularly if you're looking for that Bitcoin exposure, but you don't, you either can't buy fractionals or you're not looking for, MicroStrategy, it's too expensive or whatever. Block is another play that is doing a similar sort of correlation with Bitcoin. Take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is on the way up now. I think that after yesterday's GDP print, we broke this descending line here. We even are outside of this upper channel here as well. We're out of these descending channels on NVIDIA now. So it came down to where I said it was going to go, around the high 700s, and then we are launching back up from there. Now, where could we come to in the meantime? So I'm looking at this, honestly, I'm looking for this to make a run for the highs up to earnings, which is May 8th, May 22nd. I'm looking for it to make a run up to the highs for May 22nd. maybe even make a run to $1,000 right before the earnings. And I think earnings are probably going to be pretty good. Remember, Tesla's big thing was that they bought a whole bunch of NVIDIA AI chips, a whole bunch of them in Q1. So NVIDIA will be benefiting from that. Meta announced that they're going to be spending a whole bunch of money on AI development, which means a lot of that money is probably going to filter over to NVIDIA. So also Bitcoin mining companies like CleanSpark and many others bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin mining rigs, which run on GPUs. NVIDIA makes GPUs. So NVIDIA should have amazing earnings. NVIDIA should probably hit about $1,000 by the time earnings comes around. So keep your eyes on that. I'd be looking for, right now, honestly, I'm looking for a break of this line right here, 860. Back above 860, I'm looking for it to run towards 950 to $1,000 once it breaks 860 and holds for a day or two. That's what I'd be looking for. If we close today above 860 and open on Monday above 860, I'd be very bullish on NVIDIA to 1,000 by the end of May for that. Okay. Honestly, that's all I got for you today. That's it. It was kind of a long one, lots of things to cover. It was a really just intense day yesterday. So much was happening. Bitcoin miners are moving all over the place. They were absolutely crazy. Then we also had just big moves on some big stocks in the after hours, some big economic data. There's just so much happening yesterday. I'm sorry for the long video, but there's just so much to cover. Thanks for sticking with me here to the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.